So, so for the final project, if you go to the course homepage, you can see I've loaded up there. I have also put it, oh, I'm in the wrong, no, this is the right class. I also have it under the final week of the class, so you can get to it from there too. And it's a big part of your grade. It's a pretty big project. It's 35% of your grade. And the idea behind the following project is that you will find a client, so someone in the real world. It can be a local organization. It could be a town. It could be another class. You could sort of use another class as your client if you had some mapping that could be done for another class. It can be your employer if you work full time and want to do a map for your employer, but someone who has some sort of a GIS question, some sort of a spatial question that could be answered with GIS. So you will take that question and translate it into a specific GIS project and create some maps. So it can be on anything. Really, it can be anything you want as long as it's something that's spatial, anything that can be represented spatially. It must involve some sort of new layer creation. So you could go out and collect GPS points. You could be do a join. You could have a table of information that you want to be mapping and join it to existing data. You could be editing existing data. That new layer could be created through geoprocessing, which we haven't done yet, but we'll be doing before the end of the semester, which is where, like an example of geoprocessing would be like if you take a layer of roads for the whole state, but you really only want it for a certain town, so you can actually like clip those roads just to the size of that town. So that's an example of geoprocessing. Although for your final projects, that only sort of counts as creating a new layer. So anything that can be represented spatially, some sort of new data. Yeah.
So a question. I remember you saying before about with the surveying equipment, like the GPSs, like can you import those into like the ArcMap, like from a data collector? For
survey
points, like if you shot with like a transit, like
yes. The short answer is yes. The how I couldn't tell you right now, but I'm sure there's ways. I mean, it's all about data conversion. So if you could get them, if you know how to get them onto the computer, I could probably help get them into ArcMap. The DNR Garmin actually does, as I said, you can load just how we load from the GPS. You can actually go load from, and you can load from all sorts of file types. So that could probably do it. And they must include a layer that is somehow symbolized based on the attributes. So like your choropleth map, you had it symbolized based on numbers, or anyway, just some sort of way that you're using your attributes to symbolize the data on your map. You'll need to create metadata for it, which I'll be showing you. It's really easy to create. So remember, the metadata is like the information about the data that says where it came from, who mapped it, and it's really easy to do. So I'll probably show you that at the very end of the semester when you get to that point. And you're required to make one map. Obviously, you need to make a map, but if it's appropriate to have multiple maps for your project, then that's fine. You can have multiple maps in your poster. Just keep in mind, it's going to take longer than you think. I can pretty much guarantee that. So, don't delay, and certainly try to start thinking about what you want to do for your project right away. And it's just going to take longer, because there's going to be things that you think should take a certain amount of time. First, they're going to take a little longer, but then also you run into a problem, and it might be a little bit to figure it out. And so or you might need a certain piece of data from someone else, and they might hold you up. You might be waiting on that data. It's like, oh, I can't do this. So the sooner you can get started, the better. So what it will comprise of, obviously, you're going to be making at least one map. And the final product of that map, that was going to be a poster. So it will be in the form of sort of a scientific or academic poster. I don't need an actual printed version, so it can all be just, a virtual poster is fine. And you can use you know, you could use like PowerPoint or something to create it. If you have other software you want to use that for creating a poster, that's fine. But PowerPoint is a good sort of default way if you don't have fancy software on your computer. And there will be sections, so it'll include the maps themselves. And make sure you just read specifically through what's required in the text too. So like, you know, sourcing everything and that sort of thing. But in general, overall, make sure it should have a title and who the author and institution of the map, introduction and motivation section, questions and goals. So all this is sort of introducing the project and what it's all about. Methods, how you gathered your data or where you got your data from. Do you use a GPS? What kind of GPS if you did that? If you were doing analysis, this is where you talk about how you did, what sort of analysis you did. Results section. So, okay, after you use these methods to analyze your data, and you have this geographic question you're answering, what were the results and what were the results of your analysis? Discussion, what story do those results tell? Why is this relevant? Etc. And make sure you cite, if you use any other literature as a part of this, make sure you cite that. Make sure you cite your data sources. So once again, you want to make sure you do look through the text more closely, because that's what I'll be grading it upon. So look through there, make sure you have those components in there. And the other components on the poster would be, of course, the map itself. And you might want to have other things on there if it's relevant to your project. So if you're mapping out invasive species, you might want a photo of what those invasive species are. You might want it might be appropriate to have a graph on there, or some, you know, charts and graphs, depending, you know, it all depends on what your project is about and what sort of things you're mapping out. Don't put other things on there just because you can, you know, only put them on there if there's reasons to, but likely there'll be something, other sort of information. There might be time, you might want to have like a screenshot of your attribute table if it's relevant, or if you do, well, like, here are some examples up here, and I'll show you some online too if I can find them. But this is sort of the idea of what I'll be looking for your final project poster. So you can see, I mean, certainly the maps, this one has multiple maps, but it doesn't have one big map because it was comparing different things over different years. So it has a series of maps to illustrate that. And similarly here, now you might want to, if you use we're going to be doing models at the end of the class, and what these models do is you're using a series of tools to build a process to have ArcGIS do things automatically for you. If you end up using a model for your project, it's nice to include that because it really shows the workflow of what you did. Once again, that'll make more sense once we've actually done models. So you can take a look at these, give sort of a good idea. Actually, all three of these are good sort of examples of what I'm looking for a poster. Let's see what else. So so in addition to the poster itself, you want to submit an image, so it's basically a PDF of the poster. Submit a map package of the map. Submit any maps that you used on the poster. Also submit those sort of as their own exported image, which you'll need to do anyway to get them onto your poster. So just include those images separately also. And that's it. On the last Saturday workshop, basically you'll have the morning to finish up or work on your project because they aren't due until I think a few days after that. So you can work on your project, and in the afternoon we'll be doing presentations. So it's going to be really informal, but you know, like 10 minutes or something, just as a way to share your work with the rest of the class and what you've done. And you can create a PowerPoint to do that if you'd like, or you can just show your work right in ArcMap and show what you've been working on in ArcMap. Either way, but it's not meant to be some big stressful formal thing. Just, you know, 10 minutes to share your work. final project checklist. So I have a checklist of here and what should be included when you actually go to submit it. And then finally, I have a rubric at the end, so you can get, like, with the problem sets, you can get an idea of what I'm looking for. And it really, what I'm looking for is going to depend on the project. So there's all these different elements to making a good map and to sort of creating good posters. And well, like I was talking about with the map we looked at earlier after lunch, that is definitely a map that it's an amazing map. The emphasis of that was cartography, right? There was not much analysis done with it. It was all about how the information was displayed. So you may be doing a work for a town that wanted to show where their public parks are, to create like a little brochure for the town residents. That would be something where it's more, you aren't doing a whole lot of analysis, so you'd be focusing more on cartography. So I'd be looking at that more heavily. I'd still want to see all those different elements that I talked about before, though. So somehow creating some of your own data, symbolizing things based on attributes, that sort of thing. But in that case, the emphasis would be more cartography. You may be doing something where you're just doing really heavy analysis, and your final map may end up just being like an ortho photo, an aerial photo with points on it. And it may not look that complicated when just looking at it, but it's the analysis behind it is where sort of the complexity came in. So this different, your project can have, it's really about what your project is and what the emphasis is, and I will take that into account when I'm looking at it and what I want. But it should be sort of complex in one area or another, but it doesn't have to be in all of them. Let's see, somewhere I have examples, and I should have found those. Oh, dates and deadlines. So as soon as you can, I want you to send me a proposal of what your project is going to be, and you can just drop me an email. This is just a paragraph or two. This is not, this is not some formal proposal. I just want to know that you have something in mind, and to be able to say, this is way too complex, or, well, you might want to think about this, or you might want to just focus on this or concentrate on that. So that should include what you want to do for the project. I just realized I'm recording this, but I'm not sharing my screen, which I guess is fine, but let me go ahead and share it now. No one should look at my face that long. Share screen. There we go. So I have well, actually even sooner. So I have the deadline for the project proposal is March 13th because I'm leaving the country on the 15th. So Tora will be around to help you with stuff while I'm gone, but it would be better for you to get your projects determined before then. So really, the sooner you can do that, the better, so that I can give you feedback on that. So what you intend to do, of course, who your client is, what sort of a GIS project you're going to do for them. Have some general sense of where you're going to get your data from. You want to make sure that what you have in mind, you're going to actually be able to access the data and that it exists. And then a general idea of what your final project will be. And you send that to me, and I will, I'll give you some feedback on that. So yeah, that's basically as soon as possible. And if you don't have ideas of your own of projects to do, then let me know. And Tora in particular always has lots of sort of projects in her back pocket, because people in the community where I'm shyest come to her and say, do you have a student that could do such and such? And sometimes it's drudge work. It's like, yeah, that's not a learning opportunity, but some of them make good final projects. So we can, if you don't have ideas, we can help you with that. That's fine. Before the end of the semester, so between April 20th and the 29th, you can send me a preliminary map and sort of an outline, or if you have an outline for what your poster is going to be at that point, to touch base and get some feedback on it at that point. And you can email it to me, or put it in your Google Drive folder, or you can just do a Google Hangout if you would like. And then our last, as I said, May 7th, Saturday, May 7th, is our last Saturday workshop. And I already told you a little bit about the presentation, so you'll do that then. And then they are due the Wednesday, the 11th, so the Wednesday of finals week. And I think that addresses, oh, I was going to show you some more examples if I can find them. Does anyone have any questions so far about that? While I look for, does anyone already have some ideas for projects that they're thinking about they want to share? You know,
I mean, would it be like not too easy, but kind of like two tracks to do like a boundary of like your house or like your property? Is that kind of like?
I don't think it's too well. If you did something, just doing the boundary itself is sort of a little simple would be, but you probably do something with that would be. You could look at like maybe you could actually, and then maybe you could like get the tax parcels for your town and compare how the actual survey when you actually survey the corners of the GPS, see how that compares to the actual tax parcel, because chances are the tax parcel is going to be pretty off. Or there's probably other things you could do of looking at natural resources in the property, or I don't know, there's probably, but you could do something with it. But just GPSing the boundary would be sort of not quite substantial enough, yeah. But other ideas for projects? Anyone else have some things that you're thinking about?
Some things that I was talking to some people about were they have really old atlas maps of trees that they studied years ago that are not in a searchable GPS database thing. So like converting all those over onto a digital file.
That sounds cool. Now that sounds like, I was going to say that sounds in the other direction, but you could certainly do, I mean, you wouldn't have to do everything with it. You could do a segment of it, but yeah, that sounds cool. Definitely.
Would there be further analysis that needed to be done with those points, or like?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I'm sure. I would imagine there could be, and you could like maybe, yeah, comparing it to things from today or something, or yeah. But no, I definitely think there could be a project in there. Users, admin. Somewhere on this computer, I know there's some examples to other projects. I just don't know where they are.
So, would it be okay to like, because I'm thinking about like doing a migratory pattern for certain kind of animal.
Yeah. Yeah.
That would be something that could be done like
yeah.
Great
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, it's that would be more of a question of finding some data that's out there probably, and I don't know what's out there for that, but I'm sure you could find something that would be
like back home. We have tiger sharks, so I could probably do like a migratory pattern of tiger sharks because sometimes they're in the process, sometimes they're not.
Yeah.
So if you go to Puerto Rico or San Juan like on Christmas, you should not jump in the water.
Yeah.
Because chances are you'll be feet on.
Huh. Wow. So, yeah. No, that could be a cool project.
Okay.
Yeah, that would be. I think it would take some initial just finding out what's out there, and then sort of depending on what you find for that is sort of what would guide the project. And I don't know, but that could be very cool.
Do stuff like that too. So.
Oh, that could even be even better. Okay. Very cool.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know where those are. But there's also some other similar posters up there over on the map shelf over there. If any of you want to look at. Oh, cool! Oh, nice! Oh, look! Yep. You got. Oh, there's that point. There we were standing in front of the door.
Actually showed the school was done completely and
actually
showed everything. So it's
cool. Yeah.
What is the name of those of these things?
It's their Garmin handhelds. I don't know what type specifically. What type they are? Does it say on there?
I'll ask my VA rep to send me those.
Yeah. Map 7.
So
what's that?
What are they're just hand nav?
Like a Garmin handheld GPS. And there's lots of different types. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know where those examples, but anyway, there's hard copies of examples of the posters around the room if you want examples. So I'll just leave it there and let me know if you have any questions about that. And I will be here, well, it's already 3:20. I'll stick around until 4 if anyone wants to do some work or has any questions, but if you want to take off, you can take off too. Yes. Yeah, actually, I just realized my stuff recording. So